Hello. How fun is this to be able to spend time together here on the You've Got Nurse Series podcast? This is a place to explore practical ways to improve our health, which heightens our life experience. I invite you to join in with an open heart and an open mind to receive our guest today. Hello, I am just delighted to introduce you to Janice Shokrian. Janice is based in Lake Oswego in Oregon, and she holds the patent for Tausi Brands. And Janice, I want you to introduce yourself to people, let them know who you are and how you got to where you are now.
Thank you, Catherine, for having me on this show. I'm so excited to be part of your Sunshine Quotient family. And I am, as you said, Janice Shokrian in Lake Oswego, Oregon. So I am the patent holder for Tausi Brands. And how do I get here? I think I was always intended to get here. I've been an inventor since I was 8 years old. And then I wanted to be an inventor and a philanthropist. Those are the two things I wanted to do. And so philanthropy, I volunteer and I donate when I can. And I've always wanted to lead my own business. Now I haven't been able to until now. So I've worked for other people, and my heart was always nonprofit focused. So, and I felt that that was kind of a way for me to be able to climb that ladder faster. And was the youngest in my family, so I was always playing catch up. And so I had accomplished siblings, and so I knew that I wanted to go into nonprofit. And boy, I'm going into a part that I've never said before, but I have to say, when I told my father when I was graduating college I was going to go into nonprofit, he said, Janice, we donate to nonprofits. We don't work in nonprofits. And I said, but I really feel drawn to nonprofits. And he said, you're never going to have the lifestyle that you grew up with. And and it was a pivotal moment in my life about what was my values. Was it making a lot of money? Was it mission driven work? And and I just really had to go with what my heart was. And my heart was always mission driven work. And I've never regretted it. And I've been had the opportunity to lead three different nonprofits. I've been called the nonprofit fixer, where I come into a broken nonprofit and then turn it around. And from senior independent living to a national school for actors training to the Film and Television Trade Association for the state of Oregon. So those aspects and that scrappiness that you have to have in a nonprofit, where you have to rub two nickels together to make a quarter, I think was really the great training ground for when I invented this product, that Tausi, that I brought to market.
Mhm. Well,
So
I think it's just fabulous because you absolutely understand about the heart-brain coherence and how that opens you up and where that can take you, right?
mhm.
And which also, I believe, contributes to your creativity and your understanding of alignment. And
Mm,
it's not only physical alignment, but the body mind connection is an alignment, right? The body mind spirit connection is alignment. And what I love about Tausi is it's physical alignment that actually touches on the nervous system, how the body actually operates and how it responds. And so I would love if you would talk a little bit about that.
oh, absolutely. So for your people who are listening, I will be more descriptive. And for the people who are watching, you can see what's going on here. But Tausi is a pillowcase. So I invented this when my dad was in a memory care unit, and he was slumped over in a geriatric chair. So we can all envision that. And somebody who is not aligned at all, because the weight of your head does that neck slump roll. And I knew I couldn't do anything for his end of life experience, but I wanted him to be comfortable. His bed pillow slipped down. I added a throw pillow behind his head. That pronated him forward. So now he's like really out of alignment. And then I grabbed a travel pillow that was in my car because I was visiting him. He was in Texas. And that putting that around his neck woke him up. He hugged me. All of his pillows fell onto the floor. And the caregiver swooped by, picked them up, put them behind his back and neck. And I looked down at the floor and the floor was dirty. That was my impetus. And I was like, there needs to be something that straps to the chair, holds his head and neck in place, and boom, done. And I couldn't find it. And so that's when I set out to invent um, a reimagination of a pillowcase that can strap to the back of a geriatric chair, lazy boy. And I even made it large enough for the biggest hospital bed in the state of Oregon, which is 48 inches wide, and to make sure that if somebody needs to have reliable rest and comfort. Now, the design of Tausi, what makes it interesting is that modular U-shaped foam insert into the pillowcase. So if you think about a bra, it has a pocket. And so Tausi has a pocket where the foam shaped U insert goes right on in. And what is wonderful about it is, and unbeknownst to me initially, was that the bottom bar of foam hits your occipital nerves, which helps to release stress. And so therefore, not only are you benefiting your head and neck alignment, so when you fall asleep, your head is caught within a 20-degree radius, but you're also doing acupressure on your occipital nerves. So you know all about the vagus nerve. So
I love talking about the vagus nerve, which is so fabulous because it's connected to almost every organ in your body. And it's important for people to understand that. And so, and I don't know, there's probably no one on the planet that has been exempt from having a pinched nerve. And whether that is something that has been long term or just, a short, like, ooh, that's not good. Right. But
yeah,
it's miserable when you're out of alignment, physically out of alignment. And it causes you to become more, I believe, emotionally out of alignment as well. Because when people are physically uncomfortable, then we're just not as open, and we're not as open on a physical plane, and that contributes to constriction, I believe, in thinking, perception, perspective, a lot of different ways in which we operate. And I think it's important to pay more attention to how we care for our physical bodies. I mean, these are our vehicles while we're here, right?
absolutely. And actually, I have Tausi in a study right now. And the study is a hypothesis that a friend of mine who has given TED Talks about the brain, and his name is Roger Arneson, and he was sharing with me that Tausi is a non-pharmaceutical intervention.
Mhm.
And so, when we have neck pain, you want it to go away. And we can take, drugs to make it go, the pain, to mask the pain and dull the pain. But, preventing the pain from happening in the first place is what I love about Tausi. Well, his theory was that, when you have care communities where you have an activities director, and the activities director wants to engage somebody in a meaningful life activity and life enrichment, but if somebody's sitting in pain, they can't participate fully and they really can't focus on it. So the theory and the hypothesis is that having Tausi for lumbar support or having a forehead and neck support enables you to be more comfortable so you can engage in an activity.
Mhm.
So I have it over at a care community next to me, and they were my first customers. So now they're doing this study with me.
Beautiful, beautiful. How long does a study go?
It's going to be a month,
Mhm. And where are you at in it now?
just at the beginning stages.
Ah,
So
beautiful.
hopefully I'll have the answers by the end of July is really my goal.
Mhm. Oh, wonderful. And that will contribute to, I imagine, um, how you might want to see about interest in the travel version that you're working on.
Yes, exactly. I did due to demand from my customers, because Tausi, for our listeners, it's a pillowcase. So if it's a standard size bed pillow. The reason why I did a pillowcase was because I did not want, I like my own personal bed pillow, and you probably like yours. And my husband and I like never cross our bed pillows, in all the 32 years we've been married. So I thought, when somebody particularly raised, creating this for the senior population initially,
Mhm.
it was nobody needs to have to get used to another pillow. And for me, I don't like other pillows. So I thought, what can I do to augment something that you already love and modify that? And so that's why Tausi, we have horizontal, so you have your bed pillow like the way you have it on the bed, or we have vertical, so you can have some upper back support by your own pillows stuffed in there. And then I have a lot of people saying, hey, we want a smaller size that's a travel version. So the U-shaped foam insert and the mini bonus pillow that comes with it is the same size, but it's less fabric with the travel pillow. And they all have straps that you can strap to the back of a chair. On an airplane, I use the vertical until I created my travel size. And I strap it to the headrest, not the whole seat, but the headrest.
Mhm.
And now you don't have anything around your neck. So your neck is free.
Mhm.
I always would force my neck to be comfortable in those travel pillows that I bought a lot of, and they're single use products.
Mhm.
And Tausi is, you can use it for head and neck, you can use it for back, you can use it for putting in your car. I just took a mega trip from Portland, Oregon to San Diego. We drove one day to Los Angeles, which is 14 hours, and we had 3 more hours to San Diego because we moved our son to his
Ah,
apartment down there. And then we turned around a day later and drove back up. And Tausi was invaluable for that long, arduous trip.
yeah.
So
Well, I think it's
that's really important to me to have versatility
yeah.
and not single use products.
Mhm. Well, what's interesting too, when you were talking about the neck pillows, um, I was on a plane not too long ago, and the neck pillows, as you have indicated, they don't keep your head upright. It's a cushion when it's way over here.
Mhm. It's true. And we all do that. We all force ourselves to sleep in a way that we know most, don't normally sleep
Mhm. Mhm.
just because it's a neck pillow and it's told that it's supposed to be good. Well, you don't have anything wrapped, you're not wearing your comfort. And that's the thing about Tausi, it's behind your head and neck.
Mhm.
And so your head is caught before it does that neck slump roll.
Right.
So you're already comforted because you just are cocking your head to the side and oh, you've got some resistance and it's not memory foam, so it's not collapsing.
Mhm.
And it's a really strong foam, but it's soft enough that you're comfortable.
The thing
I'm
that,
picky.
yeah, and the thing that I really like about all of this is that you don't have to wait until you're uncomfortable. It's something that helps on the prophylactic side as well.
Yes.
Because when you can initiate good posture, good, alignment
Alignment.
physically, right? Then
Right.
what a plus that is.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. A friend of mine, her mom was on hospice uh, 2 weeks ago, and I was with her at her mom's end of life, and she used Tausi. And what was really interesting was that when people would come into a room to say goodbye and to have their last moments with her, they remarked on how comfortable she looked.
Mhm.
And that when somebody looks comfortable, then you are not fussing with their pillows. You're not anxious for them. You're able to engage with them and share your last words and share your last thoughts with them.
And what a beautiful opportunity that was.
Yeah.
And brings back to also not having to wait till hospice comes along, right?
Hmm.
I mean, this can be used in so many settings that I believe it's actually it can be thought of as a trainer. And I hadn't thought of it that way before, but getting back to that idea of using it um, before anybody gets to the position of being uncomfortable is just like, oh, okay. It's like wearing a seatbelt, you know? Yeah, a seatbelt is used to protect you, and something like this that protects your alignment could be a real plus for people.
Oh, I love that. I'm going to have you do my marketing. I know you're busy
Okay,
on
good.
your own thing, but that's beautiful. And I don't want for your listeners to be like, oh, this is the Tausi show. The idea is, I was really struck with the fact that when we watch movies, when we watch any kind of movies that have somebody with an ailment or a TV show, the first thing that people do, the supporting actor will fuss with their pillows, go get more pillows. And I've actually did like some screen grabs of that and recorded those videos. And one day I'll put out the montage because we all have that universal need to help someone be more comfortable.
Mhm.
And I think that that's the chord that we're striking. I think what's beautiful is like we, when we talk about alignment, when we see somebody else out of alignment, the first thing we want to do is like, how can I prop them up? How can I help with their pillows? How can I make them more comfortable?
Mhm.
It's just such a beautiful thing that all of us share in common. I at least I would say hope the majority of people want others to be, not suffering.
Mhm. And that also brings me to morning practices as
Mm,
far as setting ourselves up to win, setting ourselves up to be comfortable, setting ourselves up to be comfortable in our own skin before we even start the day,
yeah.
right? And what do you use for a morning practice?
My morning practice is I listen to some meditation. That's what I do when I first wake up. It's usually about 4:30 or 5 in the morning. I listen to that for about a half an hour, which sets my mind in the right direction for me. It centers me and it gives me peace.
Mhm.
And then I have started a new practice of stretching when I get out of bed. So the first thing I do is I do push-ups. I do a set of 20 push-ups,
Mhm.
and then I do stretches. I had frozen shoulder a few years back, and I find myself, always on the computer, always shoulder rolling forward. So I do a lot of upper body stretches and now lower body stretches. I've added that to it.
Mhm.
And truthfully, I feel so strong after I do it. It's like 20 minutes, it's not long.
Mhm.
So
Well,
that's my morning.
well, it's beautiful because it's a commitment, right?
Mhm.
And what I what I find frustrating sometimes is that self-care does take time. And I don't find that frustrating. What I do find frustrating is that the commercialized version of self-care that's out there is not very effective. And
Mm.
and so I mean it's great to go get the manicure, and I believe in massage and all of these things. And until people really incorporate learning about the basics of how their body operates, and we are energy beings, and we have we have fuel, right? This universal energy is really our fuel. And what's fascinating is that caring for that does take time, and it takes attention, and it takes pretty much constant awareness. And when we don't work on our own self-awareness, our own alignment, then I think it's not only we suffer, but the people that we're with suffer as well. Right?
It's so true. I've been really derelict at taking care of myself first. As a mom of two, and now they're grown and flown, and and then my husband, I've always put other people before me, my cats. It's just uh I will find excuses not to do for me. And doing for me and being more mindful of when I'm eating for myself,
Mhm.
how I feel. Uh, I'm starting to listen to my body more of what I'm taking in and how does that make me feel. I do have I'm drawn to sugar. I'm very addicted to sugar. And I always like it was a reward. So I'm trying to figure out like, and I'm still it's a work in progress, how to replace that drive, that craving with something else.
Mhm.
And I'm a nibbler, so I like to nibble all day long. And I would nibble, on gummy bears at one point, and then I would nibble on like, candy. So what is it? What can I replace now? Like Trader Joe's says dried mandarins.
Mhm.
That is like my sugar, but it's not, just chemically sugared like candy is. So it's a work in progress. It's gonna be a while. I don't think I'll crack this nut. Unless it's
Well,
candy coated.
well, but what's interesting is, you bring up the point that it is a work in progress. We're all a work in progress all the time.
Hmm.
And I think that it's important to recognize that. I also think it's important, as you have discovered for yourself, is that it nothing happens until we make a decision to make the change.
Which you habits, you bring up so many good points about habits and that I do believe that we're spiritual beings having a human experience. And what are the habits I want in my day and what are the intentions for my day?
Mhm.
And writing out like sometimes it's just three things, I only get one done, but don't beat myself up for the others.
Well, what's interesting is things are changing all the time.
Hmm.
And the best decision yesterday might not be the best one today.
Mm.
We've
It's true.
likely learned something. New information has come to us. And so that is a beautiful thing to be aware of. I do think that it's important to evaluate the new information and instead of just taking it at what people call face value. It took me a long time and I'm still working on it to become more discerning.
Mm.
How,
That's a really good word. I am sometimes too trusting.
mhm. Oh, me too. Me
And
too.
I even got, I had a situation come up in the move for my son that I trusted somebody who said they could move us and or move him down. And it was a really trying time. My husband just got back from a 7 month stay in England, and my son was moving to San Diego 2 days later and wanted us to drive his stuff down. And it was just a lot of pressure.
Mhm.
And so I found someone who could drive his stuff down. It turned out to be not a great solution. And then having to extract from that and be like, okay, we can pivot, we can do this. And then we wound up driving both two cars down to and my son was already gone. And then we thought we were driving one rental van. And being able to pivot and and then drive 14 hours, like starting at 10:30 in the morning. Not I'm a 4 o'clock in the morning in the car person, not a so it was it was everything wrong, everything wrong. And I remember being like, I didn't sleep the night before. I had a podcast I had to do that morning. And I had and I thought I was sharing the drive so I could sleep with my Tausi in the car. And I get out of my meeting, and all of a sudden I see my son's friends and my husband had packed two cars, my car and the rental. And I was like, okay. And the old me would have reacted. And I think that with the wisdom of what you're talking about and recognizing that mind body connection, doing a spiritual practice for myself, I was able to remember to breathe before I spoke.
Mhm.
And my thought was like, okay, let's divide the food bag. That, and so there was no tension.
Mhm.
So we could start the trip with joy and this is what we're doing. We have no choice. It's like if you have no choice, might as well go with a good attitude. And like I had to go get gas and off we went. And I said, I'll see you at the border of Oregon and California.
Right.
Done.
Mhm. And it all worked out wonderfully well, right?
Beautifully.
Hmm.
Beautifully.
Yeah. And as you say, what's fascinating is you say you didn't have any choice, but you did. You did have a choice as to how you responded versus
Mhm.
not reacting, right? And
Yes,
and that's a choice.
that's the choice. That's good. You always, Captain, you always have the best way of bringing together what somebody says and helping them feel so smart.
Well, you know what's
You.
fascinating? Yeah, what's really wonderful too is that we are smart, right? And I love it when people remind me that I am. It's just like, oh, okay, well, yeah, okay, let's go with that. And what's really interesting about all of that is acknowledging that we do have choices, acknowledging that we do have thoughts and emotions that we can work with. We have choices as to what we say to ourselves, how we choose to respond, what actions we choose to take, because we
Mhm.
do have these choices. And that in itself allows us to have a win, right?
Yeah,
And to say, yes, I am intelligent. I'm a smart human being that is the spiritual being having a human experience. And I
right.
am smart. I am capable. I am confident, right? And so how we talk to ourselves makes a huge difference. And
Huge
I think
difference.
it's word choices and what I refer to as your ultimate mind diet, what you choose to,
Oh, I love that.
the words that you use to talk to yourself and talk to other people. Um,
Yeah, it's true. I had a friend call me this week and he was pretty despondent and he was telling me he's feeling like he's this life's not worth living anymore.
oh,
And he's a creator and he's a wonderful screenwriter and a terrific actor and he's also he has a steady job as a flight attendant that was supposed to be part-time and it's been 20 years now and I just when somebody calls you with that end of the rope needing hope. Um, I could only give him little bits. And when you talk about what are you ingesting in your mind, what are you telling yourself? And I was just like, let's work together and just have a mantra, an easy mantra that we can say each day to each other. And I was like, taught him some breathing exercises that work for me. And then I was like, remember, the mantra is things are always working out for me. And the universe is conspiring to work in my favor. And it's like we just went over that. And I was able to leave this phone call with laughter and joy, but also a commitment to change his habits
mhm,
and then to walk with him while he changed his habits. Because sometimes we need a buddy in this world for when we're feeling a little challenged.
mhm.
And we need podcasts like yours. We need somebody that we can look to that can give us that hope.
What's really interesting is that hope is the only positive emotion that requires a negative emotion as a catalyst. And hope is a bridge, right? And when we understand that and understand that we can use hope for this bridge and again for yet this bridge, right? And to be able to use that, and also understand that it is a bridge and not a place to land.
Interesting.
Mhm. Because
It's true because then you don't get anything done if you landed in hope. There's
you,
no action steps.
yeah, you use it
Yeah,
and you have to take the action steps.
right.
And you can, because if you just say, "Oh, well, let's see. I hope I'll get to I hope I get to San Diego," right? There's no action in that, right?
Right.
Right?
Right.
I hope I get to San Diego safely, and these are the action steps that I'm taking. Right?
Mm. When I left my last nonprofit job, it was with Oregon's Film and Television Trade Association. It was a very it was a not a not a great exit, I have to say. It was my choice, but I just felt it was untenable for me to continue like 100-hour work weeks. And so and it was, of course, this nonprofit, two people, it's just me and one other person, and she was feeling burnt out, and I was really burnt out. And I felt really despondent when I left.
Mhm.
And it was 2 months later that I visited my father, and when Tausi was born. And so this gave me hope. This gave me hope to think about something else as opposed to what am I going to do with my world? How am I going to support myself, contribute to our family? Um, and I wound up working in healthcare sales, and learning more about that. I ran a senior independent living facility, but I never did sales for healthcare really, and was able to do focus groups for Tausi. So that sense of hope led to what I'm doing now. And because what you say, I took action.
Mhm. Absolutely. Nothing happens if you don't take the action steps, right? And we don't always choose the one that's most effective for us, but we always learn something from that. And we can use that to make a stronger step the next time, right?
Right.
I know. And so, in your journey of self-discovery and becoming, the owner of a patent and, now in a study group and all of these beautiful things that you're developing, what's your go-to self-regulatory tool that you use most regularly?
Well, besides that mantra, things are always working out for me. And when I don't believe it, I put on music that convinces me that I believe it. That's really important to me, is to have music that helps to change the energy in my body. It can start out slow. I can put on the sad songs. I've done that to build up to the next song. Um, I let myself wallow for a minute, but then I move my body. I dance if I can, in place, or if I can take a walk. Walks help me, but immediately I will do a song. I'll sing something. I'll belt it out if I don't have music near me. So I always have my little songs that help.
Oh, isn't that so fun, right?
Hmm.
And I think what's interesting too, and a good point to make, it's important to acknowledge the feelings, not just negate them, right?
Yeah.
And push them away. But the average lifespan of an emotion is 90 seconds or less. And so you can learn a lot in 90 seconds. And we may choose to, as you say, wallow in it a little bit. And a little bit of time, it can be very useful. When we allow it to overtake us and go day after day after day after day, that's not healthy, right? And I think it's important to acknowledge how the mind and the emotions work and how our body reacts to it. And so I love that we're talking about alignment and, it's really heart brain coherence, the brain gut connection, the body mind spirit connection, the body mind connection. There are all of these facets and different perspectives to learn about ourselves from. And as we learn more about ourselves, we're open to learning more about each other. And I love that. So, how can people find you?
Oh, thank you. Yes, please go to Tausi Brands, TAUSI BRANDS.com. Sign up for my newsletter. I often put a coupon code for Tausi in my newsletter because I care about my early adopters. I don't spam. I don't, and I'm the one who has to write the newsletter. So maybe it comes out once a month. Maybe if you're lucky, twice a month. And if you're lucky, I've been remiss because I've had a lot going on. So it's been sort of every other month. But I do appreciate that. Find me on social media. I'm on LinkedIn, Janice Shokrian, or at Tausi Brands. Tausi is derived from the word tausimo, which is a Samoan word meaning caring for. So I just really appreciate anybody who's following me on social media, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Pinterest. And yeah, I really value people being the most comfortable while working with Tausi right now. I'm using it for lumbar support as we talk, and discovering how you Tausi. I would like Tausi to be a verb. Just like how do you Tausi? How do you get comfy and in your hammock on the in the airplane? So it really is your tools for customizing and personalizing your alignment for your comfort.
Beautiful. So is that part of your marketing? How do you toss it?
I've done that before, yes.
Okay, good.
The answers are so fun. Many animals will steal Tausi. I've had a dog who stole a Tausi off the couch and pulled it to the fireplace and curled up in it. So animals recognize comfort.
That's really fun. Janice, thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure to spend time with you today, and I look forward to talking with you soon.
Thank you all. And thank you so much, Catherine.
Thank you so much for joining in today on the You've Got Nurse Series podcast. I appreciate your time, as our time is our most precious commodity. We never get the time back. Using our time intentionally and with purpose makes a difference. Kindly like and share if you find this content helpful. I invite you to explore a bit more of the work, which you can find on my websites of you'vegotnurse.org and theartofselfcraftsmanship.org. It will be my pleasure to hear from you with any questions you may have. Take good care of you and your ultimate mind diet in the meantime.